Hey PPA, it's Heidi Allen. How's everyone doing today? It's Wednesday, which means it's Positive Word Wednesday. And as you all know, one of my favorite things to do above anything else is to tell you guys a story. And so today is a really fantastic story because I'm telling a personal story. So I'm telling a personal story about choosing between being the victim in life, or we can choose to be victorious. And at the end of the day, both of them can be quite a journey. And both of them can be something that is a lot of hard work and struggle either way. So that's why I'm saying it's like we have our choice every day if we're going to choose to be the victim or if we're going to choose to be victorious. So with this particular story, if there's one thing that I have learned in life is any sort of self-development at all, any sort of self-development is a lot of hard freaking work. It's a lot of work. It is a constant that must exist in your life on a regular basis. If there was a pill, oh my gosh, we'd all be rich if we discovered or found that pill or created it. But at the end of the day, it is a lot of hard work. And with that, I have throughout my entire life, I have been up and down on a roller coaster, but always working so hard through the heartbreaks, through the mistakes, through the setbacks, through the happiness, through the joy, whatever it was. I have done my best to make sure that I am continuously working on my own self-development to be the best person that I know I can be. So being that way, I've also become this person where I feel, because there's been so many people in my life that have helped me through my self-development, I have in turn, I feel it's almost my obligation, I feel it's my job, I feel it's my duty to help as many people as I can. It's my way of paying it forward, or like what I like to say now is PPA it forward. It's what I like to do on a regular basis. So with this particular story that I'm telling you, this happened I told this story about, it's about over a year ago. And I had a coworker get in touch with me. And he sent me an email the night before, and he was in a lot of distress, and had asked if the next day we could get together to talk through what he was going through. So of course I obliged and said, yes, of course I will help you. Most definitely come and find me at this time. We'll take a coffee break together. So he comes and meets me, and we sit down, and right away he blurts out, I just can't take this pain anymore. I just can't take this pain anymore. I'm just so tired of everything that I'm going through, and I just can't continue like this. And so I could see his distress. I mean, he was in a lot of pain. So right away I asked him, what's going on? What happened? And he said, yeah, that's the thing, Heidi. It's not just one thing that's happened. It's my entire life. My entire life has just been one pain and heartbreak after another, and I just can't live with this pain anymore. So all of a sudden I realized that this is not going to be just a quick coffee break and he wanted some advice or whatever. This is a moment where I knew I needed to sit back and give him my full attention. So I said, listen, please tell me what's going on. Please, if you can, in as much Coles Notes version as you can, let me know what you're talking about, because I really don't know. I can't suggest anything or help you in any way if I don't have some insight. So I'm telling you, his story went all the way back to his childhood traumas, to, heartbreaks, setbacks, family dramas, mistakes, bad decisions. It was just one thing after another. But if there's one thing that I really noticed with everything that he was saying, is I noticed that he hadn't let go of 1 ounce of the pain that he'd been through. And why I say that is because when he described it to me, it was like he was reliving it for the first time. That pain was still that raw. So I sat with him and I said, I have to tell you, this is a lot, that you've gone through. So, I'd like to make one suggestion, because I see that, there's so much from your past that is still showing up in your present moment. Have you ever thought of journaling? I said to him. You know, I have used journaling practices so much throughout my life, and it's really helped me to put my emotions onto paper and to see them, to have more awareness. Right away, he shot me down. Shot me down and said, nope, I've tried journaling. I don't like it. It doesn't work for me. I wasn't offended. Listen, I know for some people, journaling is not something that they like to do or they've gotten anything out of it. So I said, okay, I completely understand. Listen, with some of the stuff you talked about, I'd actually like to suggest a few books that I've read. You know, some pretty inspiring, motivational book that has tons of tools in it that are going to help you. Now he's getting very frustrated with me and he's like, Heidi, I'm not going to read these books. Like, I don't really like to read. I'm not a big reader. It doesn't matter, you know, how many books you tell me to read, I'm not going to read them. So in this moment, I'm now realizing he's pleading victim. And in this moment of pleading the victim, he's also given himself a lifetime prison sentence with no chance of parole. And I can see that. The thing is I can only relate to this because I've served that sentence myself before in the past. I've been there. I've played the victim. I've been the victim. I know what that is. So I realize as he's in his lifetime prison sentence with no parole playing the victim, I feel I've got to come at this a different way. So I said, listen, if you have a minute, I wouldn't mind sharing a story with you. He's like, whatever. So I said, well, when I moved into my house, there was nothing in my backyard. There was a deck and some grass. That was it. There wasn't a tree, there wasn't a bush, there wasn't a flower, there was nothing in my backyard, I tell him. Now, you see, someone like myself, I'm a huge gardener. I love to garden. So the thought of a clean slate that I get to create this amazing backyard is very exciting for me. So I said to him, my first decision was I decided to purchase a tree to put in my backyard, to purchase a tree. So when I went to the gardening store, the tree that I decided on was a honey locust tree. Now, my honey locust tree came in a 5-gallon pot, and she was about 5 foot tall. And she was the most beautiful tree in the garden center. So I brought her home and I planted her in the middle of my yard. I planted my honey locust tree. And when I planted her, so I took her out of the 5-gallon pot and I put her in the ground, and then I stood back and I looked at my little 5-foot honey locust tree. Well, in a yard, and I have a pretty vast big yard, in a big yard with nothing else in it in the middle of the yard, she looked pretty frail. She looked pretty scared, this little 5-foot honey locust tree. So you see, over the next few years, my honey locust tree started to grow. Now, she didn't grow that much in the beginning, from what I could see. But what I did know is that my honey locust tree, under the ground, her roots were starting to spread. They were starting to grow. A foundation was appearing. A foundation was happening so that my honey locust tree could grow up. And so now, over the next few years after that, she did start to grow. Oh my gosh, like 5-6 years later, it was like her trunk had quadrupled in size. Her branches were vast in my yard, spreading everywhere. She was starting to create shade. Birds were starting to find her, and I knew underground as well, those roots were pretty deep and pretty far. Now you see, my honey locust tree, it's like 11 years, almost 12 years now, is this ginormous, majestic tree in my backyard. And she has withstood the heat of the summers. She's withstood the cold of the winters. She's withstood windstorms, hail, rain. She's withstood it all. And every single time adapting to whatever she had to survive. You see, I said to my friend, who was going through so much pain, I said to him, listen, you, my friend, are no different than my honey locust tree. Right now, you are a 5-foot honey locust tree in a 5-gallon pot. And here's the thing. If I had left that tree in the 5-gallon pot, she would have survived. Totally. She wouldn't have grown very taller. She wouldn't have got much bigger. Her roots wouldn't have spread, but she would have survived in a 5-gallon pot. And I said to my friend, you're surviving, but you're not growing. You're not shifting and changing and adapting. The only way that's going to happen, I said to him, is if you come out of your 5-gallon pot. And just like my little tree, when I planted it in this vast big backyard all by itself, was scared. And it was hard and struggled to grow. And I told him, you are gonna do the exact same thing. You're gonna struggle. But you know what? You're gonna grow. And in the beginning, it's not going to seem like much, just like my tree. It didn't seem like much in the beginning that she was growing, but underground, those roots were spreading. A foundation was being built. And in the beginning, when you start to go through your self-development, you start leaning in to all of the pain and the emotions, and you start becoming aware and understand what this is to let it go. Whew. You're going to struggle and it's going to be hard, but that's okay because you're going to create a foundation that as you grow taller and as your branches spread, you will be able to withstand anything. Any pain that comes your way, any storm, any setback, any mistake that happens, because you will have built this incredible foundation to survive. So I said to him, you have a choice. You all do that are watching this today. You have a choice. You can stay the victim in your 5-gallon pot. You can stay there, and I'm telling you, you will survive. Yes, you will. Or you can step outside and you can become victorious and you can grow into the beautiful, majestic, amazing tree that you're supposed to be. So my friend, when I finished the story, sorry, I got so emotional. My friend, when I finished the story, he was actually crying. That's why I'm crying now. He was crying and he said, you know, I don't want to live in a 5-gallon pot anymore. And I said, I know. And he doesn't. This is the amazing thing. This is such a good story because my friend no longer lives in that 5-gallon pot. After that day, he has worked diligently so hard to understand his emotions and understand the pain that he went through. And he's finally learned forgiveness. And he has let go of so much pain and trauma from his past. And he has stepped forward into this incredible, victorious person. And every single one of you can do the exact same thing. All of you. There's been so many PPA members over the weekend. I gotta tell you, we got a whole bunch of planetary things I think still happening. There was a lot of you over the weekend that I privately spoke with that are going through so much pain right now, that you're going through letting go of what the past was. And so that's why I specifically wanted to do this story today. I have told this story before, and I specifically wanted to tell this because I need you all to know that you can do it, but there is no magic pill. There's no magic pill. It's gonna take work. But at the end of the day, all it really does is take a choice. A choice to say every day, I don't live in a 5-gallon pot anymore. I am victorious. So, PPA, so many of you are commenting and you're so beautiful. Oh my gosh, all of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you. I hope you've all taken something from this. You know me, I always get so emotional. Happy Positive Word Wednesday. I really hope you enjoyed my story, and I really hope you make the incredible choice that you can. Bye, guys.